I'm going to bring in DL Hughley right now. And I want DL, you have been, I think, the clearest voice. Thank you, sir, for joining us. I think you've been the clearest voice on this because you're speaking truth to power without, condoning violence. You're speaking to the hypocrisy that's happening on the right now.
Mm-hmm. That always is a strange euphemism to me. Condoning the act already happened. America has, by definition, decided that it will condone. But even Charlie Kirk, by his own words, said that a certain amount of deaths were acceptable. So the word is kind of weird and a misnomer to ask someone after the fact whether they condone what already happened. This is America's choice. They have decided that these deaths, whether they be children, whether they be people shot at synagogues or at grocery stores or at malls, we even have different classifications of the way we're shot. Thousands, tens of more Americans have died at the hands of Americans than have died in every single war we've ever fucking been. So ISIS ain't got a damn thing on us. So, but to say to anybody whether they condone what already happened is a bit of a misnomer when America, by definition, has already done the same thing.
So when I say that they're trying to make him into the second coming, or
sure,
somehow saying that he's a deity, or I get that he's a martyr now, but I want you to listen. This is Glenn Beck. Now we all know what Charlie Kirk has said,
right?
And it's actually less about.
I think a lot of people pretend like they don't know. That's the thing. A lot of people pretend like they don't know. My manager, who's I've been my manager 30 years, he wasn't aware of all the things he said. And I think there are a lot of people who just kind of are tuned into a certain frequency and can, they get to cherry pick things. But if you're one of those groups that have been marginalized, one of those groups that he's spoken out against, I think you're keenly aware of what he said. But I think that there's some people who get to not know.
So what my point is that if this has happened to Charlie Kirk, and as Democrats have been saying, and most people, this is awful. No one should be, a victim of political violence. It's not acceptable. Democrats are saying that. Republicans are saying that. But if they weren't trying to rewrite history, the history of Charlie Kirk in this moment, the president ordering flags to be flown at half-staff, the members of Congress petitioning for Charlie Kirk to have a state-like funeral. Now, I can't think of the Charlie Kirk, if there even is one on the left, what they would be saying if someone that they deemed, even if it was true or not, to be a racist or a bigot or didn't like Republicans or anti-right-wing. I wonder what outrage and the level, the volume of the outrage would be on the right. Let me play this from Glenn Beck, and I want you to respond to it, DL. Here's Glenn Beck. He's a civil rights leader, he's saying.
We must stop calling Charlie anything other than a civil rights leader. We need to plant that stake deep. It is time that we point out that what he was doing was not politics. What he was doing was trying to stand up for people's civil rights, to show people how a civilization is not a civilization unless you can have a dialogue with people who are diametrically opposed to you, that don't believe anything that you believe in. And yet you can have a civil dialogue, and how important that is. That's our civil right, our right to free speech. And that gunman was trying to take that right away from him and from you and everyone else. Shut up. You will be silenced. You will not say those things. And there has been a force in this country to try to convince people that you don't have a right, that you have a responsibility to silence others. You don't. In this country, one of our main civil rights is we can express ourselves the way we feel we need to express ourselves. And I'm sorry, if you don't like it, you have to just take it and then say, I'd like to have a discussion with you on that. I'd like to know how you got there. I'd like to have the opportunity to argue against that. And you have that right to argue against it.
Okay. Listen, enough of Glenn Beck. He's not even he's missing the point here. Because folks are saying you can say whatever you want, but go on.
It's deliberate. That's ironic and very rich right now. People are being fired from their jobs because they're saying what Charlie Kirk actually said. People right now are threatened to be pulled off planes because they've said something about the FBI director. People are being kicked out of the country because they said something about Trump. So let's stop with the whole free. There's a difference between free speech and hate speech. There's a difference between free speech and yelling fire in a crowded room. And they think that all of that is the same. I don't care about his ideological views. I care that his ideological views led to, he deliberately said that there are a certain amount of things that should happen that are bad. Uh, when your conversations stop with my humanity, then it's not a conversation at all. But I find it interesting that one of the ways to get deified on the right is to do horrible things to black people, like Confederate generals. They're getting statues. Beck got an award. They're talking about Charlie Kirk lying in state, and he should lie in state because he lied in a bunch of states. Every time you see generally, what is the allure with the people who have said the most racist and incendiary things on the right that they got to be deified? What's the purpose of deifying Confederate generals? Like if whenever I see a white guy encased in bronze on a statue, whenever I see a white dude on a horse in the middle of a park in bronze, I know he hated black people. Like the last guy that got a bronze statue that didn't hate black people was Rocky, and even he beat the shit out of Apollo Creed. So there is decidedly a way that we see the world where name me a person that they deified that was about or that they lionized that didn't have a checkered, sorted, acrimonious past when it came to certain members of our society. Name me one, just one. I don't care if you tell me the Confederate generals that they reinstated. I don't care if you tell me it was Rush Limbaugh. I don't care if put the things on his under his monument that he actually said that you think illuminate, and then put the things that he's actually said that kind of make things darker. And there'll be no reason to have him. He wouldn't even lower the flag for the Pope. Lower the flag for the Pope. He wouldn't attend John McCain's funeral. But this is who you choose to lionize.
But DL, you're making the point because people will say, well, why are you talking this way about Charlie Kirk? At the end of the day, this is not really about Charlie Kirk. It is and it isn't. It's really about the response and the hypocrisy on the Republican side and pointing out that just how devious their antics are and what they're doing. Donald Trump, in my opinion, doesn't give a shit about Charlie Kirk. Donald Trump cares about himself. And proof, just let me give you proof. This is Donald Trump asked about Charlie Kirk. Now, I want you to just listen closely to his response today.
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty. It'll be an absolutely magnificent structure. And I just see all the trucks. We just started, so it'll get done very nicely, and it'll be one of the best anywhere in the world, actually. Thank you so much.
He is asked about Charlie Kirk, and he points to this ugly fucking ballroom that he's building that no one wants except for him.
I think that Donald Trump is, in my belief, and this is my estimation, is like most white men in America. I think it is the exception that is different than him. I think he is morally bankrupt. I think that he is transactional. I think if you told me I was like Obama, I would be flattered. But people will pretend to be insulted by a man that they champion. We always have these. I think it's hard for him and a lot of people like him to even fake empathy. They have to fake caring. They have to be told what to do, because being humane and being empathic doesn't come organically to them. And I think he's more like, there are more people that are like him, more white guys that are like him than aren't. Because if they weren't, they wouldn't tolerate the things that he does. You don't call. He was quicker to send people to hurt Los Angeles who didn't vote for him than to help Texas who did. He's quicker to do things to hurt people that didn't support him than help those who did. And that is the kind of moral bankruptcy that I think is in a lot of people who are powerful people. I think that democracy was always a fraught proposition because it always required people to look past themselves, and we run out of men like that. I think now people are transactional. Now people are tribal, and there are things that'll happen. And that man, to me, epitomizes all that America is. I think you'd be hard pressed to find people that are not like him. I'm just, that's my opinion. I think you couldn't. How do you give Rush Limbaugh the Medal of Freedom? How are you contemplating giving Charlie Kirk? Like, what did he do that was so noteworthy? What is the speech he gave? What is he's not a poet. He didn't invent a vaccine. He wasn't a great general. What did he do? Like, name me the thing that he did that drew people together. But that is the approximation. They can't even, they're so devoid of actually having experience where they struggle. They have to approximate other struggles. They have to conflate him with Dr. Martin Luther King. They have to conflate him with Rosa Parks, or people with Rosa Parks, because they're so devoid of struggle. And I think he is the epitome of what this country is. And I think there are more people that are like him that are not. And I think that's why we're in the situation we're in, because we've ran out of people who cared more about things that were. If you run on empathy, you run on things you can't relate to people anymore. So I think that's what we are. We're running on morality. Our morality is on E right now.
But it just points out, I believe, DL, the political divide, not even the political divide, the real life divide here in America between, I'm speaking generally of Black people and white people, some white people in this country. Because if they understood what it's like, and I should say minorities, or people who are part of the underserved community, people who are part of the communities who are attacked, if they don't understand why the group of Americans, these groups of Americans are sitting here scratching our heads, because I'm one of them, wondering, like, wait a minute, why are you treating Charlie Kirk like he's a monarch, like he is actually a member of the government, that he is deserving of a state funeral, that he is actually deserving of the honor of having flags lowered to half staff, that he is deserving of the honor of having the Presidential Medal of Freedom, an honor that's usually for war heroes, of people who have made major sacrifices to the country and fought in times against things that were wrong when it wasn't popular.
What is the thing that he did that we can all agree on, that were illuminating, that made us all cohesive? What is the thing that as human beings, what is the thing he has said or done in his life that drew people in and gathered them together? Like, what poem is it? What device is it? What charity is it? What thing has he done? And what he has done is the thing that they all come and have in common, whether it's Rush Limbaugh or any number of Confederate generals where they name their parks and schools and bases after, or even now him. The thing they have in common, if they have maligned, either verbally maligned or physically hurt people that they believe were inferior. All of them. Name me a guy that he honored that didn't have a racist past. I don't care if we're talking about Hulk Hogan. All of them have that in common. And to me, the thing that I am incensed by, there is a difference between not wanting a young man's life snuffed out and then having that life be an example for others. Would you want your kids to grow up to be like him? Either one of them. You could tell me how much, and we always have these conversations. We would you leave your daughter in a room with Donald Trump? Would you leave your children? Do you want your children to be like him? Does he, everything he is, everything he says, everything he does, we were told as children not to act like. We were told not to be. Everything he did, everything he does, the way he comports himself, the things he believed, the things he espouses, the things he said, like all today, he talked about only the people who were on the right. He's not the president of the United States, clearly. He's the president of the United States. In this climate, this tells you how petty and how tribal and myopic this man is. How is it in this politically charged climate, when you know people are being killed, there've been two assassination attempts on your life, you take Secret Service protection away from your political rival, knowing what could happen? You do that on purpose. What human being would do that? And I tell you what human being, a lot of white dudes feel just like him. And that's why he's allowed to do it. Because if you didn't feel, there are certain things that you could do I would never go along with, and you could lose my support, and I would be vocal about it. What has he ever done? Like this whole Epstein thing. Either he is a child molester or is a betting son. There's no really ambiguity about either he is a child, either he's a pedophile or is an accomplice or is abetting them or obscuring for them or covering for them. So how is it that you can tell us that you are the moral leaders of our country, that you're even all the things that he says and does, you couldn't get hired at the White Castle, let alone be the White House. And I think he's indicative of who this country actually is.
DL Hughley, thank you, sir. I appreciate you
All right,
joining.
man. Always, man.
Always. Have a good one.
Take
I'll see
care.
you soon.
For
Thank
sure.
you. Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support.